What's up, guys? I'm Lapper. I make videos about hockey cards. I was hoping to make more content this year, guys, but you know, sometimes real life gets in the way. I've been super busy, but that's all right. You know, good news. PSA is open to some extent, and so it's always been open, but it's cost a lot more money. That price has come down. But it's open, and today what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about some things that you can look for in a card prior to sending. Okay, so what makes one card better than the other to send in? We're going to stick to primarily Young Guns. They're super liquid, easy to move is what liquidity means. So for those of you that don't know, PSA is open for their Collectors Club members. What you can do is they have these events. Okay, so what these events are is you basically go onto their website and you hop in, you click the button, hop in line and wait for the ticker to come down. Once it meets the time, you know, let's say the draw is at 12 o'clock. At 12 o'clock, whoever is in the line will be randomized, and then you're placed in line. Okay, so it doesn't matter what time you join the event, it's all randomized after at the time at the time of the start of the draw. But if you're not a Collectors Club member, definitely check out PSA's website and you can get some details there on how you can become a member. But what you're in the line for and what you hope that you win if you can get to the front of the line, right about now it's been the top 2,200, 2,400 that have been winning their submissions, or their allocation, I should call it, as they call it. But what you get is, it is a submission for 5 cards at $50 per card, and that's economy level. Okay, so PSA is expecting to be able to get these back with a turnaround time in total of 6 weeks. Okay, so pretty good. So $50 and 6 weeks to get that card back. And the reason that they're doing these events is to limit the amount of cards going in so that it's not taking a year to get these cards back. So if they feel like they're falling behind, I would imagine they'll start slowing these events for submissions, and you know, it's better for us. We just want our cards back in a timely manner. But anyways, what cards should we be sending in? We're gonna have a look. So at $50 a card, there's a lot more options of what you can send in, especially if you're sending in to grade and flip, which I'm doing for the most part, but I do have some PC cards going there, so it's okay. It's a combination of both. We're gonna focus on more of the flip cards today. And there's a few things I'm looking for in these cards when I'm looking to send them in. So we're gonna go over that first, and then we're gonna get into some market movers, have a look at that, and I'll show you what it looks like. But the first thing that we want when we're looking for a card to send to PSA is we want a high grading ratio. Okay, so what is that? It's a high, I use the term multiple in other videos. If you have a Young Gun that costs you $100 and a PSA 10 value is $400, that's a ratio of 4, right? 4 times 100 equals 400. So we want that ratio to be as high as possible. If we could buy a card for $100 and it sells for $1,200, that's 12 times. That's a really good ratio. Typically within Young Guns, you're at about 4x. It's just under that, but anyways, that's like a pretty easy number that I go by in terms of reference if I'm trying to find the price of a card or approximate value of a card. The next thing I look for is I want a card that's gonna take advantage of that $999 maximum. So what the higher value does is, if we get a PSA 9, hopefully we can still make a profit off of it. As you get into higher dollar cards, that PSA 9 is going to be profitable. So let's say, for instance, we send in a $300 card, we grade it, is going to cost us $50, so we're into that for $350. And I'm speaking in US terms. We're into that card for $350. We only need a PSA 9 to sell at $350. Typically, a PSA 9 is going to sell at about, you know, maybe 1 1/3, 1 1/2 times the card. So you might be at the $400 to $450 mark for a PSA 9. So again, we've spent $350 and we're protected. In case we get that 9, we can still make a few bucks and get that money back. So that's why I want to get as close as I can to that $999. But remember, I can totally appreciate not everyone has, you know, the $150, $200, $300 to spend on a card. But if you do, you definitely want to consider that when deciding what you want to send in. One of the other considerations I have is the player quality and when that card's coming back. So we know it's going to be 6 weeks right now. We're at sort of an interesting time because in 6 weeks, we're going to be getting into April, which is going to be moving towards playoff time. So the cards that I'm sending, likely it would be better. I hope that, you know, they're going to make the playoffs so that that player's still getting some attention and maybe excelling, and we can, you know, make a little bit of extra money off that. But if we were at the start of the season, it's not something you really have to consider when you know it's going to be back in 6 weeks. You have the same sort of variance where hopefully the player is playing well and not in a slump or something when you get it back. But those things we can't really control, and I don't worry too much about that. But that's what I mean when I say quality of player. I want a player who's, you know, not very volatile. Price doesn't move that much. In hockey, price doesn't move all that quick, so you are protected quite a bit. Even if, you know, you have a $600, $700 PSA 10, it typically doesn't fall off. In 6 weeks, it's not going to fall off too much. Maybe a little bit lower than you expected, but typically doesn't fall off too much. So, and after you maybe narrow some players, the last thing I'll look at is GemRate. So gemrate.com, wonderful resource. We're going to take a quick look at it. Guys over there are doing a great job. But gemrate.com, we want to see what the card gem's at. So there's certain cards that are just a really tough grade. So for whatever reason, typically it's quality control on that season or that card or that series from Upper Deck. Some grade better than others. So we don't want a card, you know, that's gemming at 35%, 40%, even 50% is really low. 60% is getting more reasonable. But young guns are typically closer to the 70% gem. So we want a card that's going to fall in line with that, which again is going to increase our expectation and increase the chance that we do get that PSA 10 that we're looking for. Guys, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment, let me know what you think, but we're going to get into it. So we're going to take a look at some market movers here. Remember, if you don't have market movers, this is sort of what actually drove me to market movers. Funny enough, I used to keep track of all this stuff on a spreadsheet and do it manually, input the price of, you know, an average PSA 10 price and the raw price and formulate my own ratio. It's not really formulated, it's not like advanced calculus, but anyways, you get what I'm saying. Like, I tracked it all on my own. Market movers makes it really simple. So what we're going to do is we're going to get into that. We're going to have a look. If you're interested in market movers, put a link below. There's a coupon code. Use that, appreciate it, but let's get into it. All right, guys, what's going on into market movers? Let's get to it. So I haven't used this feature in a while because when you're submitting cards at $100 or $150, you know that it's got to be a high dollar card. So I was looking for young guns that were exclusives and what have you. I didn't get to use this too much because it wasn't necessary, but now that you can submit at a lower dollar level, a lot more relevant, a lot more useful. So let's take a look at the grade ratios tool. So as I said, we're going to take a look at PSA 10s compared to raw values. So we're going to choose those, and we're going to pick, we're going to go 2020 and 2019. Okay. So we're going to choose those years. Then we got to pick the sets. Okay, so we're picking the sets. So we want Upper Deck 2019 and we want Upper Deck 2020. And that's good. Or you can pick players if you're looking for a specific player. You can go ahead and put that in there. But we're going to take a look at everyone in those sets. So here's all the cards and all of the ratios. But what we're going to do is I only want to look at cards that are above $10. And the reason for that is because we'll take a look at Kirby Doc, who's right at the top, for example. 99 cents, which isn't right. I actually reported that sale. That was for his checklist card. But anyways, Kirby Doc is a $20 young gun or so. And, you know, so it's a $20 card, which you have to buy, and then it's $50 to grade. So you're into it for $70, and then a PSA 10 is going for $89. Okay, so not a card you really want to get into. Quite a bit of risk there for very little profit, but we're going to look at cards above $10 raw. And here we go. We're going to take a look at the 14-day average, though. So here we are. Here's the cards at a 14-day average. So we'll take a look really quickly at some of the ratios, and then we'll go back up. So we got Jake Ottinger, $11 young gun. If you can get a PSA 10 out of it, sell it at $198. That's pretty good. 18.15 ratio. Okay, and remember, this is based on a 14-day average, and these are also USD. Keep that in mind. Okay, Jason Robertson, really good one. $30, $424 for a PSA 10. There's a grading play, maybe. Got Josh Norris there at 10 times, Bowen Byram at 10, Joel Farabee 9.73. Who else do we got here? Here's Stutzla 7 times, Fox is 6, still high. Remember, I was buying that way back because it was 10x, and pop's 154. What you'll notice about these top ones is the pops are really low, so it's first to market, right? People want PSA 10s of these guys, but they don't want to do it themselves, so let's help them with that. And let's send some cards, get some 10s, and they can buy them off us for these prices, which are, you know, somewhat out of line, but that's the opportunity. Okay, so let's take a look at Jake Ottinger. Is this a good card to send? Well, I mean, it looks promising, that's for sure. If I'm spending $10 on a card and getting a $200 PSA 10, I'm definitely liking that. Again, that was a similar situation to what Fox was. I don't think he was quite that high. But here's the problem. This another thing that you want to look at, which I mentioned earlier, is we want to take a look at the PSA 9 and see if we have protection, or what happens if we get a PSA 9. So this card is selling at, what do we got here? 14, 15 bucks last sale, and it's $60 for a PSA 9. So we have to spend $50 on grading. Again, we buy the card for 15 bucks. We're into it for 65, and we're only going to get $59 back on a PSA 9. So it's not the worst case scenario. You're going to lose a few bucks, but, you know, really inexpensive. Hopefully what happens is you send in your 5-card allocation, and I hope you can get, 3 PSA 10s, and it will offset that cost. So for the 2 9s, you should turn a pretty reasonable profit with that, and that's at a really low dollar investment in terms of card purchases. And PSA 10 last sale was actually a little bit low. We see here at 175, but relatively recent too, 4 days ago. So, not so bad. Even if you can sell it here at 175, not so bad when you're into the card for $60. But, I would rather have that PSA 9 protection. So let's take a look at some other cards, see what other opportunities there are. Jason Robertson, right here. So this one definitely looks pretty juicy. $30 for a Jason Robertson right now, and $425 for a PSA 10. That definitely stands out. But again, we're going to want to check what the PSA 9 goes for. These are the decisions you have to make. It's up to you. To me, it would still be worth sending in 5 of these and having them graded, but you're not going to have that protection on the PSA 9. Maybe you'd be able to get your money back like 90 bucks, 100 bucks on a PSA 9 when you're into it for 80. So that definitely makes sense. Take a look at this. Pop 9, right? So you'd have to get these in quick, but we've had this chat in the Discord, and by the way, if you want to get in on the Discord, lots of good hockey talk and stuff going in there. We'd love to have you there. Hit me up, or I'll put a link below. You can click on that, join the Discord. Fun times. We've talked about this, and does the pop matter? Is it just because it's low pop? And I mean, certainly that's a part of it, but at the same time, if we take a look at someone like Kirill, who's a really good grading play right now, 5 times, so $132 roughly for a raw Kaprizov. I actually just bought a couple for less than that. But anyways, so 5 times, and then you have a $667 PSA 10. Here's the thing about Kirill. $130 raw card. The PSA 9 is at $227. So if we bought one of these, we would be into it for $130 plus $50 grading. We'd be into it for $180. And even if we get PSA 9s, they're at $227. And I'll pull up one thing here, which was interesting if it comes up. So this is another feature within Market Movers that they added, which is shows you the increase on gives a pop report. So not like gem rate. Gem rate's a little bit different, but this is the pop report. So we can click right here, go right to PSA. So we can take a look at his total population. And he was card number what? He was card number 451. So we're going to scroll down to 451. 451 Kirill base card. So 303 10s, 440 graded, and you only have 21 that are a 9 or worse. There's almost nothing below a 9. If you are reasonably capable and competent looking at some cards, you should be able to pull a 9, and this creates a massive opportunity when you're even making money off of submitting and getting that 9. Now 9's not ideal because you don't get the top dollar, but again, that's the protection that you want to look for when you're submitting these things. Now, not everyone could spend $150 on, you know, or 130 US on buying 5 Kirill Kaprizovs. I understand that. So you have to make decisions that meet your budget, the capital that you have. But in an ideal world, like, this is a pretty good opportunity that there's a very, very low risk chance of us losing money on this. So that's Kirill. That wouldn't be a bad one. And the next thing we're going to take a look at is gem rate, as I talked about earlier. So if you're looking for these cards, let's take a look at how Kirill grades. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to population data, and we're going to go to set breakdown here. We're going to go to hockey and go to Kirill is 2020 and then 2020 upper deck. So really simple to do that. And what you can do, this is going to pull up all the cards so we can see all the players within the set. At the very top, you got Alexi. So take a look at Alexi's gem rate, for instance, 39% on Alexi. You might want to be careful about that one. Kirill up at 60, what is that? 68.5%. So gemming out pretty reasonably. Pop is rising. Some people might think that that's a concern. I don't disagree. My argument would be we've still seen, if we take a look over the last 30 days at, say, just the PSA 10. So here's Kirill's PSA 10 over the last 90 days climbing 15%, and even over the last 30 days still coming up a little bit at about 7%. 7% we see right there. So even though this population is climbing pretty dramatically, Kirill not seeing a pullback in price. He's seeing a slight increase in price, so pretty safe card to submit at this point. And we'll take a last look at the full list. We'll start at the top. So Jake Ottinger 18 times, pretty good card to submit there. Jason Robertson, that one looks really juicy. I sold all those Jason Robertsons if you watched my video last year, so I have 0 Jason Robertsons, but I might have to buy more. We'll see. I'm going to take a look at this. Josh Norris, Bowen Byram, Nick Robertson, $94 for a PSA 10. Probably not a card you want to send in. Peyton Krebs, same thing. Stutzla looks not so bad. Fox looks not so bad. Kirill is definitely a good one to send. Alexi, not too bad. $80 raw, 4.3. And this 4 range right here is about what we'd expect. Most PSA 10s are around the 4. So these guys up here would be guys you want to target more. Okay, guys, there you have it. There's some of the things I look for before sending into PSA. So remember, look at those ratios. You want a high ratio card. Protect yourself to the downside. You know, hopefully if we get a PSA 9, you can make $1 off of it. And, you know, put in the time, put in a little bit of work, put it in an Excel spreadsheet, figure out what a PSA 9 is, what a PSA 10 is, and, you know, how you're looking, what you expect to gem mint. Hopefully we can go 4 out of 5 would be really good. But make sure you do that bit of work. Check me out on Instagram, Lapper Flips, LAPP3R30_flips. We'll check you.